All right, ladies and gentlemen, across UFC gym land. This is podcast number 4, and in podcast number 4, we're going to talk about one of our favorite disciplines at UFC gym, which is kickboxing. We have a very, very special guest, Anna-Rita Sloss. Anna-Rita, welcome to my abode, my office, my place that I try to get work done. It's a little messy, so I apologize for that, but thank you for coming.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Adam.
Yeah. New Zealand.
Yes.
You grew up in New Zealand. Talk about that.
I grew up in New Zealand, Samoan. Both my parents are Western Samoan.
Yep.
So I'm called a Kiwi fob.
What does that mean?
Well, it's fresh off the boat, so I'm Kiwi Samoan. So I travelled a lot, and went from Australia to the US, travelled around, and then kind of settled down.
How old were you when you left New Zealand to come here?
When I left New Zealand, I actually went to Australia and lived there.
For how long?
I was in Australia probably about 5-6 years.
So were you 18, 19 when you?
Yes, I left New Zealand when I was 19, going on 20. So my sister and I decided to go on our overseas, our OE trip. A lot of Kiwis start their travels before and after going to university. So then we decided to go, and on my travels, I went from there.
Is your sister older or younger?
She's older, so she actually ended up from Australia to Japan, and now she's in London.
Oh, wow.
So I went from Australia to the US and travelled.
Yep.
Had a couple of kids, and I just was in New York, San Francisco, and so I'm now based in Orange County.
In New Zealand, what was it like to grow up there? What was the culture like? Was it a lot of activity, or did you find yourself in a culture where you were more enjoying the life of food and spirits, or?
Back home in New Zealand, we're very active.
Yeah.
Very active.
Oh, it is?
Very, my brother, for example, grew up in rugby. So it's always...
Tough sport.
Very.
Yeah.
It's always a boy's dream to play for the All Blacks. And it still is, because, we are the world champions in rugby. And then...
This year, currently, you're the world champions.
We're the world champs, exactly.
And are you known as the world champs all the time?
Yeah. Everyone knows All Blacks. Everyone knows in the world, yes.
Right,
international. And what happened is I grew up in netball, which is similar to basketball.
Yeah. But
there's 7 players in their actual positions and no backboard.
So netball is 7 versus 7.
7 versus 7.
No backboard, so you have to swish it.
Well, no. However, you have certain positions. So it's really a lot of ball skills, and that ball goes up and down the court very quick. So you play outdoors or indoors. And it's very big international. So it's just kind of started probably the last 10 years here in the US. So I know like up in LA and Santa Monica, they have a lot of clubs that play netball. So we were active. We grew up very active. We were the type of kids that was outside. So we didn't have computers back home. We didn't have laptops and things like that. So we were the ones that, were caught in when the lights go on at night. So being active back in New Zealand is, even nowadays, is a big thing for us.
When you were growing up in New Zealand, so you have the sports, obviously, rugby and netball.
Right.
Talk about the gyms out there. What kind of experience? Was it just going in and using equipment and free weights, and was there classes?
The gyms back home wasn't as we are now. For example, Les Mills is big international. So we had YMCAs, we had Boys Town, like boys clubs and whatnot. My uncle was a boxing trainer. So I grew up in the gyms at a young age as well, because my brother boxed, my cousins boxed. He looked after the Boys Town, so I was very much brought up on the boxing side as well. The gyms back then, there wasn't many people going into the gym, so the facilities, like you said, was just like a weight room and whatnot, very basic. When Les Mills started their programs, that's when it blew up and have big clubs back home. Now these like...
That's when the classes started really expanding.
Classes started to expand, classes started to explode and whatnot, and then it just grew from there. So now you have everything from, UFC gyms to, specific kickboxing to boxing and whatnot. So, they've grown up.
What created, so it sounds like boxing was big at home, and that kind of was in your DNA
Right.
as you grew up, and that's probably what took you into the group fitness world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think within, like, for example, UFC, MMA, and whatnot, they didn't really come about till about maybe, like 20 years,
Yep.
25 years
Yep.
prior. Now we have great big international, like Matthew Hunt and whatnot, our fighters in New Zealand, and even our females are very big in kickboxing back home.
What's the rivalry between Australia and New Zealand? What's that like?
As much as Canada is to US,
Okay.
very much so.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
If it,
You don't want to lose to them.
No,
Yeah.
no, and plus we're we're champs.
Yeah.
But it's a fun rivalry, so everyone can toss each other back and forth. But
Do
when
people
we're
travel back and
overseas,
forth a lot?
Very much. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like the flight.
It's like going to Canada for us.
Yes.
A little bit of water. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of water in between.
Yeah.
But the rivalry is big. But when we go overseas, like we kind of stick together. Like if you're in Europe, UK, and whatnot. But it's really funny because it's like we just finished the rugby sevens this past weekend
Yeah.
in Vegas, and USA won it first time ever. So
I read that.
yes, and rugby sevens
That's a
is
big deal,
really
right?
Very big deal, which is great for USA. It's their first
But
time.
nobody likes the USA to win.
Well, it should have
Yeah.
been either
Yeah.
New Zealand or Fiji or Samoa. Or
It's like the
something
America's Cup in sailing, right?
Funny you
Yeah.
should bring that up because New Zealand won the America's Cup.
Yeah. Is it still? But it's still called the America's Cup.
It's still called the America's Cup, and New Zealand won it.
Yep.
So yeah, so
And
as small as
New
we
Zealand's
are,
making a little run here.
we are
Yeah.
as small as we are. We're very very big in sports.
What in New Zealand? What is your favorite food when you were growing up? What did you like to eat? Was it? I'm sure fish and those types of things. But what's the local main
Seafood.
food? Seafood.
Seafood.
Yeah.
But I'm Samoan, so Polynesians have a tendency to eat a lot high. We're high in carbs, high in starches. Samoa is actually American Samoa is the number one in the world in obesity. So I think like being in the fitness industry, it's very difficult and challenging for us to educate our young
But
ones.
are they not? Don't they look at obesity as healthy from a cultural standpoint? It feels like you eat well, you're healthy, and
Correct. You eat well, you're healthy. However, the difference is when you bring into effect, because nothing, there's a difference. When you're on the islands, the food is natural. When you're like, for example, here or New Zealand and whatnot, not only are you eating the fast foods, and the portions are humongous. We're number one obesity, diabetes. And it's up to the parents to educate their children because it's our culture.
Yep.
It really is our culture.
Yeah.
So the more food you present, that's how it is, and it isn't. I keep telling people I have nieces who are diabetes, and they have children, and I says, you have to lead by example. This is not a quick fix on your way to another sports activity that you drive through. And that's the thing that they don't get. And it is society now. It's like, okay, now they're starting to educate themselves and becoming healthier, but it doesn't work that way.
yeah,
The circumstances is demographically where you live. They don't have the options like we do, that you can get everything naturally, everything as fresh as they can. But they can still cut down on the portions. They can still cut down. You don't have to sit there and eat as much carbs and starches. Like you don't have to eat taro and banana and pork and corned beef all in one sitting. And the society now, they have to learn. Our culture has to learn because they're killing themselves.
well, I mean, I think also, and it's not just there in New Zealand. I mean, it's everywhere. And when you look at even U.S., food's getting so convenient and so cheap.
Right.
It's becoming the land of cheap food, and everybody's in a hurry, everybody's busy, and so let's just go through a Wendy's or McDonald's, with all due respect to them, but their drive-throughs, because I can get a full meal for $8.
Correct, but here's my way of thinking, because I'm Samoan. I
Yeah.
was there. I mean, my heaviest was 220. So
How did you get to 220 pounds? Just eating and lack of activity?
Lack of activity. When I moved here to the US, that's when I put on the weight, and everything is all processed, and it's just high in carbs. And I was still eating like the same portions that I'm used to. So then, when I moved from New York to Orange County, that's when I decided, okay, this is it. Enough is enough. And then I was very fortunate to have a great mentor who saw something in me and mentored me into the group fitness, because we were outdoor people.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the gym. To us, like going to the gym was just an excuse. Whereas, we were all very outdoors activity kind of people back in New Zealand. So to me, it's like, okay, then I had to change. So that's how I did it. I started working out, activity, like 5-6 times a week. Started doing, boxing, cardio, kickboxing and whatnot. And then I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And that's because of portion control and watching my eating. So that was my example to my kids. When my kids started growing up, I put my kids into activity. I decided there and then, and they knew how to eat right. Mm-hmm. And, to me, it's an excuse. Yes, granted, it's a quick fix drive-through, but Sunday night, it's not hard to prep.
That's right.
It really isn't. You can get more from going to the fruit shop. Your $10 drive-through, you will get more from the fruit shop veggies, right? Mm-hmm. There's no harm in you prepping roasted veggies, things like this. And I think that's the mindset that Polynesians don't get, because to them, they just want a quick fix and out.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're talking about how you grew up and your move to Australia to the U.S. I think you're an incredible example for fitness and for women empowerment.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's you've done incredible work specifically since coming over to the U.S. But what I think part of that is because you've been mentored, right? And talk a little bit about your mentor relationship.
So I was that big member that was in the back row, 2X, baggy clothes,
220.
Yes, but I was wearing a 2XL.
Yeah,
that's my size. So I was like 16, 18.
Okay.
But Polynesians, to them, that's natural.
Yeah,
that's your average size.
Uh-huh.
That's your average size Polynesian. So to me, mentally, I had to, but I was not like that back home growing up. I was not like that.
Because you were active. You were
because I was much more active, much more active, and my parents made sure that we kept busy at all times. So I started going to a cardio kickboxing class, and I was very fortunate that I was mentored under Shalene Johnson, who's a life coach, just amazing person. She always sees the good in people, and I was that shy Polynesian. I wouldn't talk, wouldn't say boo. So she mentored me still, and she still does to this day. And we're going like 20 years, over 20 years at least. So
why has it been important for you to have a mentor?
I think, finding someone that thinks like you, that expects more of you, that those with, like I was very shy. Mm-hmm. I had no confidence, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and it's like a lot of us mothers that you tend to lose yourself because you're so busy focused on your children and the house and the home.
You lose your own identity.
You totally lose your identity. So I went through a period, like maybe 2-3 years. I had lost myself because I was so focused on the children and whatnot. And then I just decided, it's like, one day I says, what, I'm just going to go. I joined a gym, and then I had a trainer, and they says, what, go to this lady's class, you're going to like it. And she just started her format just then, and it's blown up. It's big, worldwide now. So that's when I started, and then she started mentoring me. She started throwing me on the stage. She says, okay, I'm going to teach you how to become a group fitness instructor. And she was pregnant with her second child, and she would just throw the mic, and she'd say, do this. And, you can do the moves as much, but when you have that mic on, you just like...
Whole different deal.
Whole different deal.
Yeah.
You whole different deal, because you need to connect with your members. You need to make sure that you high energy, motivate, and at the same time smile and breathe, So I was very fortunate on that end. And then I became...
Do you think that, you think how you grew up culturally, and then you really you got married, you got divorced, you raised your kids,
Right.
and so you had a little bit of a different identity. Do you think that's part of what makes you an incredible instructor, a dynamic instructor today, that you almost overcompensated because you lost yourself in those important years?
I think so, but why I'm very passionate now is because I've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
Time and time again, you hear stories, but when you see it, because, when you teach every day and see those ladies and identify yourself to them, I love what I do, and I'm very passionate because I understand them. I know where they're coming from. And when you see their body change and when you see their confidence come back, that makes it what it's all about. It's really not about me, but it's about me giving back to allow that person to grow.
Yeah.
It really does. And as much as people say, her classes are packed, it's really not. I even if I had 3 people in my class, I commit myself to those 3 people or 300, it doesn't matter. Because when you see their face smile and they change, you have a lot of ladies who are very, very shy who have come in. This is their release, As much as you think, everyone has their own story, but the reason why they're is to release themselves just for that 1 hour. So your objective is to motivate and give them as much as you can so that they can build their confidence.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think back when we started UFC Gym,
Right.
and we didn't want to open a gym for people to be a UFC fighter.
Right.
What we knew is that these UFC athletes were the best athletes in the world, and they had an incredible understanding of all these disciplines like kickboxing and boxing and functional movements and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And we realized that if we applied that correctly to mainstream, that you could take a customer that has low self-confidence, low self-esteem, didn't
Right.
feel good about themselves, overweight, whatever it might be, and if they could just engage, instead of just going to work out,
Correct.
you learn something, you become empowered, you become confident, you become sure of yourself, because
Right.
all of a sudden you see these members and maybe these ladies that went through a divorce, instead of them walking in insecure looking at the ground, they're walking in looking at you in the eye.
Right.
And they're
With confidence.
with confidence, looking forward to going to class, looking forward to tapping you out, or looking forward to going through a kickboxing class.
Exactly. And you become their new family.
Yeah, that's right.
You become their new family, and you watch them grow. And the fact that it's like Mary Jo, she was depressed and whatnot, came to classes and whatnot, build her confidence, and see how far, and what, her spirit is alive. Then she will bring her neighbor and so forth. But we become a family, and to see each other grow and build that relationship. That's what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
As much as you said, like you said, we have so many professional athletes. But the one great thing about UFC is the fact that you've allowed to open mainstream for members to join us in our group fitness classes. You allowed us to not only have those group fitness classes within that facility, but be able to say, you know what, maybe I'm going to go into the other side. Maybe I'm going to do, go into MMA and whatnot, and try something more advanced, because they would never have that opportunity.
No.
They would never have that opportunity. And there are thousands. We're talking about thousands and thousands of members, So I think incorporating both the group fitness and the MMA side on our part within UFC has built our family much more, And it's shown also that, it's not just for, athletes. It's not just for our big UFC fights and whatnot, but it's also for your family and our kids. Love it when you see our kids do the classes. That makes a big difference. Your whole family's right there.
Yeah.
The whole family's there working out together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the main
one community,
goal.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
And a lot of people, they join gyms when maybe their doctor tells them they have to do it,
Right.
or they're trying to impress somebody, or they feel personally incredibly insecure. So you're a world famous, world renowned instructor now, right? A lot of people
No.
know you. I
They
think you have this aura about yourself of confidence, enthusiasm, energy, and passion for fitness.
Yes.
When you look at yourself and how far you've come mentally, right, to get you where you're at today.
Right.
Where was your lowest spot in your life where at that point you said, I got to change and I got to start taking steps to where you're at today?
My lowest point was going through my divorce.
Yeah.
And, not to say, no, great man, it's the fact that, you grow.
Yep.
You just tend to grow apart, which
Yep.
is fine. But then it's like, okay, then, now what?
Yeah, because your identity is you and your husband.
For the
And then all of a
longest
sudden
time.
your identity is just you.
Great. And I didn't have one because I'd lost myself.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to even okay, then I need to do something for myself and my kids. Everything I do is for my kids. It's always
You
family.
become the example.
You have to become the example. So that's when I started, as you said, I was started doing classes, and my kids have seen every babysitting gym there is, because I was very passionate about what I enjoyed and what I wanted to do, and again that built the confidence. But at the end of the day, it's my kids that really are my stepping stone and keep me grounded.
Yeah. And then you work out hard, you train hard, and you become just a great version of what your potential is by what you practice every day. And I'm sure your kids feel that, right? They
My
see
kids
that, they feel it.
They do. I mean, as much as we have fun and joke around and that, I'm very proud of what I do, because my thing is also giving back to my community in the Polynesian.
Yeah.
So I do a lot. I
like your tattoo, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
What is that a tattoo of?
That's just parts of Samoa and different islands in New Zealand that I've done, over the years. I have one traditionally done on my thigh. Back in Samoa, I actually had it tatted the traditional way in peace.
Did it hurt?
Like a mother.
I went to Hawaii, and I have this little tattoo on my shoulder.
Right.
And I bawled for like 2 weeks. I can't take the pain. I mean, they were just a little tattoo, and I was like,
right.
My eyes were welling up.
Right, but
I couldn't imagine. I mean, that had to hurt on your forearm and your hand.
But
right?
like when you have the full malu,
Yeah.
traditional, like you see our men and our women, and back then my grandma, she had hers. It's a culture. You have to have heart. You really got to have. To us it's mana fatu. So you to be able to do it, so you won't feel the pain because it's something that you've wanted, and it's built within,
so you embrace
within you. You embrace it. It is because my son has his sleeve, and you embrace your culture, and no matter where you are and what.
It's an honor. It's a badge of honor.
It is a badge of honor, and it's it's also respect to our culture. It really is. But at the end of the day, I think, no matter what you choose to do, I just think that activity plays a big part in everyday life. It's a healthy lifestyle.
So how did you really get into kickboxing as a modality of exercise?
Well, when I was doing the classes and whatnot, I became one of her master trainers. So I trained the presenters that were going out and doing the trainings all around the US. I went overseas and did the training as well. And I think, once you do group fitness, there's a certain format that you enjoy, but then you want to build on it, and you want to grow, and you want to, advance into something else. And getting into kickboxing it really is kind of like, kick ass. Yeah. It's like, don't play with me and whatnot. You know? And it just kind of like gives you that confidence boost, as much as, on the outside that you lose the weight and whatnot. But I think there's a big release when you're into kickboxing.
It's funny, even the mental switch, when somebody actually learns how to hit a bag and kick a bag,
right?
They go, oh, like you, for the first time, a lot of times people will go in there and kick a bag with their foot,
right?
And they don't like it, and they go, man, that hurts. Well, you're not supposed to kick the bag with your foot, right? And when you learn how to strike a bag but use your body weight correctly to have impact on the bag, there's something about that that's so powerful.
It really is. As much as, like you said, they just say, no, this takes practice. To become disciplined, to be able to kick and strike correctly, like you said, the power behind it makes a big difference. It's just not like, okay, then we're just going to go in and just, kick and punch and like, oh, next, it's not. every punch, every jab, every kick that you give, every strike, the power that you put into that, it just makes you even more confident, and it just boosts you.
And then you just end up competing with yourself, right?
You do.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you see once they get, when they come in and okay, I'm going to do this 2-3 times a week, and then their confidence, but then it's like it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did this last week, but then it really is. They challenge themselves week after week, and then you see a lot of them get into competitiveness. That's when they start to say, okay, then let me see if I can get into this, and it builds their confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Mm-hmm. So let me throw some characteristics of kickboxing, and maybe you could talk about your impression of either how it's impacted your clients that you've trained in kickboxing in the past. So how does kickboxing give one confidence?
Well, like I said, kickboxing, it's hard to describe because everyone's different. For example, when I teach my clients, okay, so I have, for example, I have this lady, and my client she is 72. She's a grandmother, and I do her twice in the morning. Now, she doesn't need to kickbox, but that's her rant from her grandkids.
Wow.
So, and she has the gloves and whatnot, and she's barefoot. So she's a little petite thing. She's 5'2", little petite, 72-year-old grandmother. But twice a week, every morning, by the time we finish that, she's like, okay, I'm done. It's that, her confidence, and you can see the twinkle in her eyes because she's like ranting over the grandkids. And
she feels and thinks like she's 42 instead of 72.
She does.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look 72 either. She really does.
She kickbox.
Yes, and she keeps active. So, to her, kickboxing gives her that power to release it and says, okay, then I can go through another day with this, and rant, and her rant is over and whatnot, but it just builds her up to that confidence, and people don't get it. They really don't. I could do a dance class and go, okay, I'm done. But it really is, when you do a kickboxing class, that power just makes a big difference.
That's good. How does kickboxing help you burn body fat quicker?
Well, I've done so many workouts and whatnot, but I think, like you said, the challenge of me competing really becomes very competitive within me. So me doing kickboxing, like, I really burn more calories because I'm punching and I'm hitting something.
And how much do you use your core when you're kickboxing?
It's all core.
It's all core, right?
People don't get it. It's all core. It's not about the strike alone and whatnot. You need your core. Everything is in alignment. So unless you're using your core, and you're engaged, there's no power. There's no power behind a strike, a punch, or nothing without core. So, as much as people say, okay, this class, whether it's a 45, 50-minute or an hour class, it's all core.
Yeah.
Big difference.
So it burns. It's a good way to burn calories, right?
Correct.
It absolutely builds your confidence. Talk about how kickboxing can improve your coordination.
Well, again, it's all skills.
Mm-hmm.
So when you engage your core, you need to work on coordination. Trust me, if I'm not coordinated, I'm going to be hit.
Yep.
So it's all a balance. It really is. So at the end of the day, unless you have a strong core, there's no coordination.
Yeah.
There's none.
Yeah. And I think, there's 600 plus muscles in your body. And I think there's certain exercises that you do that become very one-dimensional with certain muscle groups.
Right.
But kickboxing, really, you use almost every muscle group in your body, right?
Correct. Yeah, you are utilizing every muscle part, and especially with your strikes and whatnot, because it's from your pelvis all the way down. You're engaging your core and whatnot, and your obliques and whatnot. Because as soon as you pivot and when you're striking, you're engaging all your muscles.
Yep.
So I burn more calories in a kickboxing class than I do with like a strength training and whatnot, because of course you need to lift weights to burn more.
Yeah.
However, not only are you engaging your core, you're burning more muscle, you're burning more calories. So of the two, I'm going to do a kickboxing class.
Yeah.
Because I'm in
burning
and
more
I'm out.
fat, not
burning more
muscle.
fat.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Burning more fat.
Yeah.
But I would rather do a kickboxing class and get most of my calories burnt and burning more fat than a strength training class.
And the number one health enemy, I think you agree to this, is procrastination. People
Yes.
love to push off fitness. And I think when people find something that they can go in, be active, and actually learn something, and not experience the B word, which is boredom, it helps you retain your desire to stay fit. And so talk about kickboxing in regards to how it's not boring.
It's totally not boring. It's amazing today's day and age with electronics that you still have people who just sit at home. Like you said, you can just go on YouTube and check UFC kickboxing and whatnot.
Yep.
Do it at home.
Yeah.
Do it at home. I don't understand why you're bored. Life's too short. So at the end of the day, my thing is, you watch the fights all the time, but getting up off the couch for 10 minutes and just doing a kickboxing class on our YouTubes, and whatnot, it'll make you feel good. It just makes you feel good.
That leads me to my next point, is that it makes you feel good. It is not boring, so it helps you continue to learn things and it helps you connect to it. But also, when you think about everyday stress in people's lives, something about taking a kickboxing class really de-stresses you for the rest of the day.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah.
It really does. And, it amazes me how, like we says, boredom is just an excuse. Such an excuse. What you need to do is get off your A, put on, whether it's 10 minutes and whatnot. If you notice in our classes, especially after work, they de-stress. You have a lot of corporate that come in and they work out because they need to de-stress somewhere.
Yeah.
Now with the kickboxing classes, they're very aggressive. There's a lot of release when they come in, and it's great. So to me it's like, get in and do anything, whether you pop in for 10 minutes, whether you stand up, do it from home, and download our UFC classes and whatnot. At the end of the day, to de-stress makes and makes you healthier.
Yeah.
It really does. Us like, as much as we have so many high pressure jobs and whatnot, 15 minutes a day is all you need.
Yeah.
So
Anna-Rita, if you think about, you're talking to everybody out there that is thinking about going into a UFC gym and taking a kickboxing class. Sometimes people think it's intimidating, that they can't work out at the same level as other customers working out, and so they never take the first step forward to participate in a class. What would you say to those people that just, they really lack the personal courage to at least take the first step in to take a class?
I think just do it. I mean, we have a lot of people like that who, like you said, are intimidated.
Yeah.
Don't let the name intimidate you. At the end of the day, we're there to help you. Whether you take a UFC kickboxing class or a one-on-one, you need to start somewhere. And we're there to help you, if you don't want to do it by yourself, join our group fitness classes. Yeah. We have so many around you, in your local area at our locations. All you need to do is, because when I teach a class, I don't care about my front row people. They've been there for as long as
yeah.
My objective as an instructor is to work with the back row. They're your brand new people, and they're very intimidated because they think they can't keep up, they can't strike, and as strong and have perfect form as the front row. Who cares about the front row? It really isn't. A good instructor is always connecting with those people in the back and says, listen, great job. You know what? Come again. I'll see you in 2 days.
Yeah.
And, next, and then we're going to work and focus on, your strike or, your kick, anything it is. But the job, your objective is, once they come in, you connect and you focus on those beginners. Because if you're working with just the front row people, you're going to lose them. Mm-hmm. And of course they're going to be intimidated. But when you connect with them, the power that you give them and the look on their face when they actually finish a whole class, like, see, you can do it.
Yeah.
You really can do it. And says, you know what, I'll see you in 2 days. And like, okay then, you know. And that's what we're all about.
Yep.
You know, our family, UFC family, that's what we're about. We're about, you know, connecting with our mainstream, being able to see their confidence build. And just to have that connection makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. Don't worry about the front. You know, those are our athletes. I always say, those are our athletes. But here, we're one big family. And we're going to focus on what you can give me today.
Yeah. It was amazing when I first started taking kickboxing classes myself, I didn't know how to kick a bag.
No.
And so, you know, going into the club saying, okay, I'm going to show off a little bit to the instructor, I go in there and I kick the hell out of the bag with my foot and try to cover the pain that I'm going through. And then I'm looking at all the members looking at me and I'm like, but, you know, what was interesting is not only was the coach there to educate me
right
on how to take a class correctly, but the other members that are in there, they gravitate to helping you. Right?
Always.
Everybody wants to help each other have
Correct.
a great workout.
Exactly. And you know, the great thing about our regulars is hi.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? My name is Anna-Rita. How are you doing? He says, listen, work with me. You know, you can work with me, and they show you and help you and guide you to, like you said, you know, okay, you have your coach in there, and you also have a regular who's with a new member, so that person doesn't feel intimidated, and connect with them and say, listen, you know, that's okay. You don't have to do high kicks. It has nothing to do about high kicks. It's about power. You know, you start low, and then you gravitate, and then the stronger you become, the harder and more powerful your kicks are. And you see that twinkle in their eye that, oh, okay, I get it. It's not about just coming and slapping the bag. You know, don't slap the bag. No, it's not. It's not about that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So why should, you know, you look at the name UFC gym, and if you don't go into the gym, you don't understand it, right? You don't understand that inside, you know, in a lot of our clubs around the country, they're, you know, 7,000 to 10,000 square feet, but they have these incredible facilities with incredible coaches, and we say that our top two assets are our coaches and classes.
Correct.
Right, that's what this brand is all about. And so why is this good or great for females? Why is training UFC style such a great discipline for the average female to participate in?
I think the average female now needs something different. They really do. They want to be more kick-ass.
Yep.
They want something different. They want a workout where they feel strong and empowered. It really is. And I think with society and what's happening nowadays, I think, you know, a lot of our regular women and women in the corporate field says, you know, we're not taking it anymore. So why not come in and work with one of our kickboxing classes or one of our coaches that's going to empower you to be a better you.
Yeah.
It really is. So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, as many classes, as many formats that we present to them, you notice how a lot of our regular females now are gravitating to just the kickboxing classes and to focus on working on the bags and what, because their change in being empowered and more confident speaks volume.
Yeah. Well, listen, Anna-Rita, thank you for coming in, and you're an incredible example for others to follow in everything you've gone through in your life. But then even when you adopted fitness as a way of you live your life, you've been an example and a mentor, I know, for people across the industry. And you're a huge part of the UFC gym family because the way you look at exercise, what you stand for, is very empowering. And I think that gets translated down to not only our customers, but also our staff members, right? There's somebody to look at and say, man, she kicks ass. I want to train and coach like her.
You know, I've been truly blessed, and with our UFC family, I've been given the greatest opportunities that I never knew. I honestly never knew that I'd be able to. So, you know, thank you so much for believing in me and allowing me to be a part of our great family.
The bigger question is, did you like the coffee that we provided?
I love the coffee.
It was good? It passed the test?
It did pass the test.
Because I know New Zealand, they have your picky coffee drinkers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No offense,
Yeah.
but you guys don't know anything about coffee.
Yeah.
But you're working on it.
Getting better. It takes
Yes.
a little bit of time. It takes a little time.
Yes.
All right. Thanks again very much for
thank you
joining
so
our
much for
podcast.
having me.
Incredible insight to why kickboxing is important and
thank
what you
you.
brought to the industry. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
UFC Gym, train different.